Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. Our next live show is August 24th at Envy Lounge in Newport Beach. For more information on that show or any of our future shows, please check out our website, comedypopupla.com. All right, let's start the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. I'm your host this week, Paul Antonio, filling in for Ron G, who is out shooting his Nickelodeon show. So that's fine. We can give him a pass on that. But before we get started here, I just want to say, if you live in the SoCal area and you want to see some live comedy, please check out a Comedy Pop-Up show. Josh, who's one of our guests here, does them quite often.
I do, and they're fun. They're always in the back of a Mexican restaurant. They're terrific.
That's our
Nothing
demographic.
goes together more than enchiladas and comedy. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So if you live in the OC or LA, or if you want a show near you, just hit us up on our email and we'll get a show out to you guys. But I am pleased to announce I have two guests here that I am big fans of both of you guys. You guys kind of embody what it means to be like rock and roll and comedy, if that makes sense. So let me introduce my guests. The first guest here is the host of That Metal Show, or was the host of That Metal Show on VH1. He was the voice of Special Ed and Bobby Fletcher on Crank Yankers. He's also the host of the Comedy Metal Midgets podcast. Please welcome Mr. Jim Florentine.
Yeah.
How are you, man? It's good to be here.
What's up? I wish I had my buttons and stuff.
I love this little space, though. This is awesome.
It's not bad, right? We do like 16 shows out of this spot or something, and we just keep going all day.
A hidden oasis in Koreatown. Who knew that the center of podcasting was right here next to a Korean barbecue and a nail salon?
The spot next to us used to do income tax and baby clothes. That was their side.
At the same time?
At the same time, yeah.
Good for them.
Same location.
Never limit yourself. Always keep every door open.
Just in case people want to find us. And that is the voice of the creator and host of the goddamn Comedy Jam, which is something that, man, I can't stop watching YouTube videos on. He's also the voice of DJ Howling Hank on F is for Family on Netflix. And he brought the Comedy Jam to Skankfest this year. Please welcome Mr. Josh Adam Meyers.
That's me. That is why I applauded for everybody.
Yeah.
Jim, what the
Sorry,
fuck,
I didn't know.
dude? We're in the moment. Be present, man.
I know.
You got two laptops over there. I figured you had a sound effect.
I know. 2 laptops and no sound button. So how are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Welcome to, I'm just glad it's not hot out today, because when it's hot in the studio, it's like 120 degrees in here.
No, this place looks like it's well air conditioned, right? It's a box.
Exactly. The deal is our neighbors control the air conditioning, but since we host mics and stuff in here, they're annoyed with us, so they refuse to turn it on. So just let us cook in here, man.
So when there's 30 people in here, you're doing open mic, it's like 100 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. It is as lovely as you think it would be. We need to bring in some industrial coolers or something like that. So I'm glad I have you guys here today. Obviously, every show we kind of do a theme. And today's theme is, we like to mix a little bit of the rock and roll and the comedy. You guys are...
You know what's funny is I didn't even realize that that's what we could talk about. It's so perfect. Like,
Yeah.
I never get a chance to sit down with you. I've been a huge fan of yours for fucking years, man.
I always love talking music.
Yeah. So we're kind of gonna mix between that stuff. But I want to ask you guys a general question to get things started out.
How do you feel about Linda Ronstadt?
Like if you were talking about, I want to give you the Byron Allen softball questions. Like, here, talk about this. But which artist do you guys consider had the most profound effect on your career? So you both are established comedians, but you both have dabbled in rock. And I know Josh has his, goddamn Comedy Jam, which is like legendary now in LA. Like, it's so much fucking fun.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. So which artists do you think really had an effect on you? They could be comedians. They could be musicians.
Right off the top of my head, I always look up to the artists that really changed me are the ones that changed. So I've always loved the Beatles, Miles Davis, Radiohead, anybody that's like started a certain way and then just keeps evolving, because that's the growth of an artist. And that's what I've always wanted. I've always wanted to start with She Loves You. And then by the end of it, I'm doing Helter Skelter, and then you keep moving on even further. And then you're doing The Long and Winding Road. I just think I look up to them. I think they're so fucking great.
Yeah. How about you, Jim?
Well, I never played an instrument. I always wanted to be in a band. I'm a big music guy. But so for comedy, to get into comedy, because I was big in the rock music, was, when I was a kid watching David Lee Roth. on talk shows and stuff because he's always so funny, or on stage telling funny stories. I was like fascinated by that. I wanted to be up there singing, but I just didn't have the talent for it.
Yeah.
And then when Sam Kinison and Andrew Dice Clay came along, and they're basically like rock stars as comics, I'm like, that's what really attracted me to stand-up comedy.
Yeah, and that's funny because I heard your story about your vocal coach telling you like you could keep with it, but
I went one time for singing less. She goes, no, you don't have it.
Yeah,
she goes, I could take your money or whatever, but you stink, basically. I'm like, all right, well, at least you're honest.
Oh, say, can you see? All right, that's enough.
I know. We brought the one guest on that might have a more grovelly voice than you.
This is a family curse, by the way. I'm just letting you guys know my mom has this exact same voice, so don't
Don't
talk
smoke a lot.
Yeah, the misty 120s, you know what I mean? The long motherfuckers, but you know, it's in our blood. I don't know what it is. We've just a history of strip club DJs that have just, you know,
I was a strip club DJ too. Yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah.
What company did you work for?
No, it was just at a strip club.
Yeah, but what was you worked for like just a solo strip. I worked out here for Spearmint Rhino, so that's like this worldwide company.
Right.
So I mean, I had like, you know, if I wanted to, I could have had like a 401k and all that other stuff with it. It's so ridiculous.
Did you work there before you were doing stand-up, or?
No. So what happened with me was I couldn't find a job, and there was a door guy at the comedy store named Alex Moore. He was like, I don't know if you remember, he's like this 7-foot big dude. He was a comic, and he was like, dude, he's like, you can't find work, but he's like, you're going to the wrong places. You should go be a strip club DJ. You'll get hired tomorrow. And he was 100% right. After 9 months of trying to be a waiter, couldn't find a job. Boom, I got hired the next day. Then somebody got murdered at that strip club. So then I had to leave because they shut it down. And then I went into the Spearmint Rhino. And then I worked for them for 6 years, which I look at it as like the worst time of my life. And it was. But it wasn't about the job. It was just that I couldn't compartmentalize that I'm working on a career and then I'm just working as a strip club DJ to support that career.
Yeah.
And I hated it, man.
Did you get any skills out of it that kind of benefited you in doing comedy? Or?
I mean, how to like, you know, crush up an oxy in 3 seconds and snort it in the DJ booth where the manager wouldn't see you. It was a bad time because it was all about the hustle. I was making, you know, you get tips from the girls, but then you can hustle by like, you know, oh, you want to hear this song and this wants to be your song the whole night? Okay, well, that's going to be $100 because that's one of the most popular songs out there. And I'm going to get yelled at. So it was like I was constantly working, and the way the company worked, they held your money over your head. So it was never enjoyable. I constantly thought I was going to get fired.
How about you, Jim?
Mine was just like a set fee, and then if there was one of the strippers wanted to hook up me, I put a long song on and get a blowjob in the back.
Did you really? Good for you.
Absolutely.
That's when you work at a mom and pop, like that's the shit, man. Because
it was great.
The first one was a mom and pop, and you know that's when you put on like Freedom 90 by George Michael. It's like it's a 9-minute song. That's awesome.
You put the extended version on, and but this was before, like this was years, so it was before the girls would even give you a tip. So I'd make like $150 a night, and that was
really
basically. But yeah.
Yeah. Were you doing it when you first started, or
I started just around the same time I was doing stand up, and then they let me do like an open mic on a Monday night. It was like a strip club during the day and a rock club at night.
Oh, that's dope.
So I just said, can I do a Monday night because you weren't nothing going on after the strippers.
Yeah.
And then I would run the open mic.
Yeah. So I have this question for you. Do you guys, because you see how popular comedy is becoming, it's just been growing lately. Do you think that comedians have become like the new rock stars, or do you think it's always going to be something separate?
I think hip hop artists have become the new rock stars. They took everything that the rock stars did in the 80s and the 90s and just that flashy shit, and they realize it's to support it. That's the people that like are being worshipped right now. Like these hip hop stars are just insane. Comics is starting to come back. Wouldn't you say? It's like I feel like the Comedy Store is always packed. And they're putting these comedians up to that kind of level, but comics will never pass musicians. Comics are judged, musicians are enjoyed. It's like there's just this whole rock stars are always going to be rock stars because more people can identify with the music than the joke.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's about 6 or 7 comics that are doing arenas right now, and most of them can walk down the street, and most of America doesn't even know who they are, which is weird.
Yeah. No, that's true.
But the musicians, they're definitely way more exposure, and just especially with the pop and the hip hop and the all that stuff. With Drake, I mean, every kid, everybody knows who he is.
Yeah,
he puts out shitty songs, but people love him.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. He's just a manufacturer of like top pop.
Yeah.
hits at this point.
Which in like, 5-10 years, they're like, oh, they're going to be like, he's going to be like Limp Bizkit. Be like, no, I didn't listen to him. No, I didn't. I never did. I never bought that. I didn't have that on my phone.
He's going to be the next thing to hate, the next big thing to hate.
At some point, probably.
See, that's why I appreciate the goddamn Comedy Jam, because it allows comedians to kind of tap into that like rock and roll feeling, they get to go out there and perform. Is that like more or less the point of putting the show together?
The show now, I only do it for one reason, and it's to expel negative energy from my life, because it's become this. It's not about, there's no stand-up barely anymore. It's literally just, they're going to talk for a couple minutes and just tell a little story and just warm up to the crowd and explain why they're going to sing the song and then sing it. And it's like, we already had a TV show. The show sucked. It got canceled, and we're going to keep playing festivals because we have these little staples. And now in LA, and anytime we do it, it's like, it's just for like me and the crowd to just have this fucking really incredible experience. It's just fun. It's like just to be present. It's insane how it's turned into like a very, like, you watch like those documentaries about like the Bhagwan and all the fucking like sham, like that's what I'm doing up there. Like I'm like hugging people and like handing out fruit, and I'm like, come closer, I love you. I love it. I love it. And that's why I do it now. And that's what the show was. The show was started because I wasn't having fun doing stand up, and I wanted to have fun again. And that just, it was never about anything that I would get from it.
Yeah, well, it's reaching cult status. I mean, I feel like every time that you bring it to a festival or something, it's always like the highlight of that festival. Like,
well, you mentioned Skankfest.
Yeah.
Were you at Skankfest this year?
I was on the road.
Dude, first of all, and I have to give them a shout out because I've done a million festivals and they're all great. Some of them are bad, but some of them are great. Skankfest is run so well for the comedians. They took such good care of you, and the audience is literally the island of misfit toys. Like if all the employees from the Hot Topics or malls around the country went to a comedy festival, that would be it. And the shows there and the vibes, they were insane. And the goddamn Comedy Jam there was just these people that you would think that would hate you or wouldn't want to have, like, be these like sweet loving people, just were there. And just, it was like anything we said, they did. Yeah. Like, it was like when Tony Hinchcliffe sang Toxicity, it literally started a riot. And then Sal Vulcano, Sal Vulcano had to follow that. And he was like, I'm not following that. He's like, that was insane. Like, Tony fucking stage dives. People are moshing. There's a wall of death, and then Sal's going to go up there and sing Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Frankie Valli. But then he goes up there and he's like, no, I'm going to reset the room. When I start singing this, I want everybody to start slow dancing. And the 450 people all started slow dancing, and it became this beautiful, just this love fest, man. It's so fun, man.
Yeah, and that's what I heard Big J talking about it, say how Tony Hinchcliffe was like the at the end of the festival, they were just like, that was like the highlight of the entire festival. And that's a festival that had the Tough Crowd reunion, and everything. But they said Toxicity just blew the lid off the place and stuff.
When you care about something and you don't give a shit about what comes from it, and you just put love behind it, then people feel that. And that's me having the most fun I could ever possibly have. Because I'm doing the two things I wanted to do since I was 6. And if you would have told me that at 6 that I'd be able to make a living off it, it would, it would just blow my mind. Like, I'd have an erection for the next fucking 32 years. So Jim, it's great.
Would you ever consider doing the
I've tried to get you on the goddamn comedy. I think I mentioned it too. We were in New York.
Let's make it happen right here on the podcast. Let's get it booked.
I just can't sing though. I got no talent whatsoever. I can't play any instruments. I don't have an ear for music. My son does. My son's at 4. I've been taking music lessons for 3 years. He's amazing. I don't know where he gets it from. Definitely not from me, but I just don't have it. I'm serious. It's just really bad. I would love to. I'd sing like Ace of Spades. That'd probably be easy.
We could do that. Oh, we've had
Lemmy's range. I can hit. But that's basically it. But I couldn't do.
That's all you need
Dean
to do.
does. Dean does the whole fucking AC/DC Powers record. Dean should have to gig at AC/DC.
Dean is like, he's a real rock star, and the guy's 52 years old, and his voice sounds incredible. You just got to find what's right for your range. Like you said, if you can do Ace of Spades. Like, let me give you an example. The Sklar brothers suck at singing. They're horrible. And first time they did the show, they did some crappy The Smiths song called like The Boy with the Thorn in His Side, and it was horrible. And the crowd was like, what the fuck is this? And then the next time they came back, they figured it out. They did The Distance by Cake. And it's just talking. It's just, something. That's not a line. Blah, blah, blah. And it just was the greatest thing ever. So There's something out there. We will find it, and we will be in New York in November doing New York Comedy Festival. So if you want to be a part, it's going to be fun. I don't know where the show is yet because we're just setting it up, but
I can work on it. I can work on it.
Dude, Ace of Spades would crush, dude.
Yeah, and it's 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Yeah, that's 2 minutes and 46 seconds of song. So
we'll do the extended version. We're gonna add it's gonna turn into a 5-minute epic. Something adding more verses.
Back
No,
from the
keep
top.
going,
Let's bring it back.
Florentine. Keep going. How you say you love me?
Back from the top. Well, other than Ace of Spades, are there any other songs that you'd want to do?
I would want to do everyone. I want to do the whole System of a Down Toxicity record if I could. No, I'm just I don't know. It's just not my I don't have it, but I will. Maybe I will try some like Motorhead.
Yeah.
I couldn't sing anything else. I couldn't do anything with range.
You can do James Hetfield. James Hetfield is It's just yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
We could dub it. We could have you lip sync. It's crazy.
Can I put you on the spot and see if you can hit the James Hetfield? No, just give me like a no.
For what song?
Just
though?
anyone. I don't know. It's just, that's James Hetfield's staple.
Most songs.
That's his staple. That no, yeah. I guess maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're not listening to the same Metallica.
No, I think you're thinking Jim Brewer's impression because Jim's always going, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So he's always doing that. So everyone's like, okay, that's what James does. But James probably doesn't do that much
He
anymore.
does it in Enter Sandman. He goes, no, yeah. Maybe it's flip from yeah, no. All right. You know what? Listeners, tweet at me and let me know.
I love the idea of him in a room. Like, should I go no and then yeah, or yeah and then no? And just like really thinking that out. That'd be epic.
I think Motorhead will be my range if I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Motorhead would be amazing.
Because, it's just,
yeah.
no one's going to sang off key.
Yeah.
I'm doing Lemmy.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Lemmy, but, it's pretty easy.
I don't think
Exactly.
he's taking offense to it right now.
No.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
Well, it's crazy because System of a Down was like the band that got me into rock. Like before, when I was growing up, I was listening to like oldies and stuff, and like my friends are like,
wait, what's oldies to you when you say oldies?
like Temptations, Four Tops.
Okay, that is
like,
oldies.
Yeah. Like I was like one of these like little kids, like just listening to this music and vibing, and they're like, "That's cool, but you're not gonna have any friends." But System of a Down's what got me into rock. Like I had an album, like my cousin made me a CD, right, and it was just Chop Suey and then the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song. That's all that was on that CD, and I was obsessed with the CD, and I probably listened to both tracks equally as much. But what bands kind of got you guys into rock like that? Since System of a Down was kind of my band that got me.
First one that ever got me into it, Iron Maiden. I was 6 years old, and I remember going to Waxy Maxy and seeing that poster of Eddie and being like, "That's the coolest thing in the world."
Oh, yeah, the cover of the first record.
Well, the one that really got me was Live After Death, I think. Oh, no, Somewhere in Time, because they're just where the fucking, with him with the gun, and I'm just a little kid. I thought that was the coolest. But then the biggest moment in my life musically that changed everything is when I was 7 years old. I was listening to DC 101, and they were like, "There's a new band coming out. They're called Guns N' Roses. This is their new record, Appetite for Destruction. We're playing it all the way through." And I was sitting in bed listening to it on my little alarm clock radio. And then after it was done, my dad was asleep. I went into my dad's room, stole money out of his wallet. The next day after school, I walked up to Waxy Maxy and I bought Appetite for Destruction. And I've still to this day, it's like no artist or band, even though I still love Guns N' Roses, but nothing has made more of an impact on me than like Axl Rose and just their attitude, like everything about the go fuck you, just we do not care, like we're just gonna rock. I love them.
Yeah.
Did you get the vinyl version of it?
No, it was a tape.
Okay,
it was a
good.
tape. I was a tape guy. I didn't really have records. I held on to tape as long as I could. I still say tape instead of record when I'm like, so what time we tape it? And then people are like, no, it's record. I'm like, no, it's not. It's tape.
Yeah. I feel like recording's even older though. It's like we're putting on a record.
Yeah, but I'm old school, man. I'm VHS, VCR. That's how I live. I stay in that, the pocket of the tape. The other big artist was Stone Temple Pilots, was Scott Weiland. That was the guy that made me know that I can be in a band because me and him had a similar voice sound. And I thought he was like the coolest performer. Yeah. And that's what really wanted me to get out there and start performing. Because at that age, I was like 13 and that was like the first band. And I was always the funny guy, but that's what pushed me onto being on stage.
Have you ever done any Guns N' Roses songs?
Oh, yeah, dude. We've done, with Burr, we've done Paradise City. We've done Sweet Child of Mine, Welcome to the Jungle. those are the only 3 that we've done. But we closed a lot of our shows with Sweet Child of Mine. We have the big sing along at the end and we get all the comics back out. It's such a powerful song. And it's one of those songs that I remember when the band pitched it to me because I was like, no, we got to do like, Hey Jude or something like We Are the Champions that everybody knows, these iconic songs. And they pitched Sweet Child. And I was like, but really? People know that one that well? And the second that you hear that riff, I mean, people just go nuts.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And then the build up at the end. Yeah.
What, you guys do you ever record anything besides other than like YouTube stuff?
Nope. Because it needs to live in the moment, and I don't want to record it. I've been asked to stream it. That's why the TV show didn't work, because you can't capture what's going on. It's a live event that needs to stay live, and when you put cameras on it, it sucks.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to get the same feeling. It's just I can watch. God, what's his name? The Bohemian Rhapsody guy. Who's the lead singer of the Queen?
Freddie Mercury.
I can watch Freddie Mercury do Wembley Stadium when he's doing Radio Gaga and everybody's clapping, and it gives me chills. But it's not the same as if you were there and you're part of that 120,000 people doing clap clap like that's. So it's one of the as the show's grown, I'm starting to realize that it's like I love it being live and. The idea of streaming, it's just, we might be streaming our All Things Comedy show, but that was Burr's idea. That wasn't mine.
All right.
So
how about you, Jim? What bands kind of got you into rock and got you going early on?
Van Halen, Black Sabbath, AC/DC. I had older brothers. They were like about 5 years older than me, so they got me into it. So whoever they were bringing home, I was listening to. I was sharing a room with them. They would drive, and I was like 12. They were 17, 18, and I'd be in the backseat, and they'd just be cranking Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Sabbath, AC/DC, Ted Nugent. So I was in it at a young age.
Yeah, and what's crazy, so as your career advanced and you had, obviously that metal show on VH1, did you eventually get to work with some of these guys that you looked up to?
Yeah. I mean, I had all those guys on the show.
And
so
what were some of the highlights for you?
Well, it was just, every week it was somebody else. I'm like, I don't even have to research this guy. I've been wanting to ask Brian Johnson for years questions about AC/DC, and we had him on like 3 different times. And we had Lars on, we had Kirk from Metallica, we had Bill Ward, we had Tony Iommi, we've had Angus on, Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson. So
who was
Tom Morello.
Who was the one that you got? Have you gotten like completely starstruck where you're just outside of yourself when you see them?
There was a lot, though. Yeah, I mean, Tony Iommi was a big one.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, Iommi. And then, Ted Nugent, too, because I never met Ted Nugent. Now, he was like the first rock star when I was a kid, like that California Jam, and he's jamming. I was Cat Scratch Fever and all that stuff. And I never met him before or anything and never been around him. And he wound up doing our show and going up there and jamming, which was amazing. And he's just a funny dude. Like, there was no politics or any of that stuff we're talking, but he's just a funny guy, tells funny stories, and then just goes up there and rips on the guitar. So that was a big moment. And I'm a big Rage Against the Machine fan, so Tom Morello coming on, that was huge.
Yeah. Were there any people that you met that you were like looking forward to meeting that after you met them, you were like, I could have done without that? Like you just didn't want to.
No, I think, one of the hosts on the show, Eddie Trunk's been in the business for a long time. He knows all these guys, so they all love Eddie, so they weren't going to be dicks when they come on. Yeah. Because they've been friends with Eddie for a long time. And plus, look, our show is a place to promote your new stuff. If we had Dokken on, they're not going on Jimmy Fallon to promote their new record, but they're coming on our show. They're our Tom Cruise.
They got a new album?
Yeah, they put out like 4.
To me, it all ended with Dream Warriors. Right. After that, I just was like, all right. What? I was about to sing it, so I don't know if you have the rights.
I was hoping for it. I could have just seen
We're the Dream Warriors. Ain't gonna dream no more. Fuck yeah, dude. Then Freddy Krueger comes up, grabs the woman, and he's like, get ready for prime time, bitch, and then slams her head. I used to think Freddy Krueger was the greatest thing ever. That's where I'm at in my life, guys. I have Pee Wee Herman characters tattooed to my arm. I'm doing really good. I've grown up.
Dude, that's funny because you were talking about like you giving all these compliments to Dean Del Rey, but when I heard your voice on,
I just thought that was
Jam,
didn't it sound? It just sounded like Dean.
Dean's more like, like he's like, I'm like a mixture of Eddie Vedder and the mucus from the Mucinex commercial. You know what I mean? The guy like, all right, cold and flu season. Oh no, Mucinex. That's how I got my SAG card, everybody.
Yeah, I remember you telling that story last time too.
I've played dirt. I've played mucus. And a cokehead DJ. That's what I played. Oh, and also I'm the voice of the San Diego Zoo. I'm doing the whole campaign for their Africa Rocks campaign.
Oh yeah.
And all it is Africa Rocks at the San Diego Zoo. Coca-Cola is proud sponsor of San Diego Zoo and all that.
Nice.
That's how I demanding money from
That's how
Coca-Cola.
I bought a $500 vacuum, guys. But you do a lot of drugs and then you just vomit them up and it makes your vocal cords perfect.
Kids, if you're listening and you want to find out how to
I
do
don't
it,
recommend it. It worked for me. I'm doing really good.
see, Jim, that's what you missed out on. You gotta, that's what you had to do.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm sure you did your share.
No, I was never a drug guy.
Really, never.
No.
That's interesting. So you just stayed sober the whole time?
Not just, just drinking here and there, but not too much. A few beers, get a little buzz on so I could talk to chicks.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough because, being a big rock guy and then being in comedy, which I'm sure all of that shit is just around you. Was it hard to stay sober?
Not really. I don't know. Well, I wasn't sober. Like I would have a couple beers or whatever, but I never really got into. I stopped smoking weed when I was 17. I started when I was 12. Mm-hmm. My brothers would take me to concerts at 12, and everyone's passing a joint around. That's what they did. Mm-hmm. They would just go around, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just don't tell mom." And I'm smoking at 12. Yeah. But at 17, I'm like, "What am I doing?" It would just make me paranoid and tired.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot of money. I'm like, "This is stupid."
Yeah. That's impressive, though, because it is just so easily accessible.
Well, it's a different time now, and also it can be synthesized down. Like I'm sober, but I use marijuana as medicine for my post-traumatic stress and for all my anxiety, and I can stay off all of those pills. But it took a while to find that, and I had to find the right strain and right everything, and I don't deviate from that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like audience, I don't recommend going out and taking PCP when you're 19 years old at a rave.
But it'll make you sound better when you sing.
It's just mistakes I made that got me here. And they're not really mistakes because now I use them as my advantages.
Mm-hmm. Are you more of a smoker?
Find me at my TED Talk seminar next Thursday at the Ramada Inn in Tustin, everybody.
Giving speeches.
Existentialism from a strip club DJ.
Are you more of a smoker or a CBD oil guy?
I do a 3-to-1 CBD THC select, and I'm saying that specifically so I can get sponsored by them because it is the greatest. It is saving my life, 100%. I am not lying. I'm not just. I don't want to get high. It's not. The idea isn't getting high. I've been high. I was high for years. I want to be helped. And when they were talking about the medicinal properties of marijuana for years, I was like, how? Like you said, it's like it's anxiety. Like, yeah, I might giggle a little bit more at RoboCop, but I'm also freaking out and thinking about my heart. And so when I got sober right before the Jam came out on TV, because I was a junkie all before that, I could function. I started having crippling depression and crippling anxiety, and I didn't know why. And the doctor was like, "Well, we want to put you back on antidepressants and on Xanax." And I was like, "No, I'm not doing that. I don't want to take pills." And then somebody was like, the doctor was like, "You should try this. Like, try CBD." And then it was just experimenting until I found the right one, and now I love it.
And it's
so
weird.
It doesn't get you high.
I'll say it like this. It's like I walk in both worlds. It doesn't get me high, but I'm not 100% sober. If I want to feel high, I could just sit in that. And if there's something funny on, I might giggle a little bit more. But dude, I've gotten more work done. I am more focused, just at ease. Like something like this, like I'm a fan of yours. So usually in the past, meeting people that I'm fans of, like I'm just like the awkward guy, like, like just trying to get people to like me so I can fit in. And this just makes me very comfortable. And just through meditation and through all these other things that I do, it helped me get to like a place where I don't need drugs anymore to be confident.
Yeah,
because I used to be fucked up doing the Jam. Mm-hmm. Like when you were talking about, I had vocal cord surgery when I was maybe a year into the show, and I go to the doctor, and I was sober before that, and the doctor's like, "Here you go. So we're gonna give you, some antibiotics and this." And he's like, "Are you in pain?" I was like, "A little bit." And he's like, "Here, take some Vicodin." And I took those Vicodin, and then I did the Jam. So I'm taking my two favorite things in the world, and that was the first show I stage dove and then crowd surfed, and I was just up there just dicking around, like playing a cymbal for like 10 minutes, and it was just the best. But in actuality, all it did was that was all inside me already. I had that, and that brought it out of me. And now that I've gotten sober, I realize I don't need it, because when you take something that makes you feel that good and put it on top of something that also makes you feel good, you're just going to associate them both together. And it just got worse and worse and worse until eventually, I was probably going to die. Because it wasn't like I'd be right down the street from here in downtown LA buying, fentanyl, and then going to my show or going to a meeting at Comedy Central and just crushing the meeting. At least I thought I did. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it got on the air, so I must have done something right. I don't know how it happened.
It happened because it's an amazing show, man.
Not the TV show. The TV show's garbage.
Yeah.
The live show is the shit. But that was my first rodeo. The TV show was my first rodeo with Hollywood, and nothing against Comedy Central because I love them and I love those guys, but they saw something different than I saw. And at a certain point, I wouldn't have believed me either. Because I like to believe that the way I looked and the way I acted and all that, because I look at old pictures of me and I look at me now and I'm just like, I mean, this is still like, this is me with the gray out and before I was coloring my hair and fucking, you know, I just look like shit, man. So I wouldn't want me to host my show.
Yeah.
You know, my face all swollen, rosacea's all out, you know, it's huge pimples, like opiate pimples.
That's so gross.
It's terrible. Yeah. But I mean, this is how it goes.
Yeah. Well, personally, from an outsider's perspective, I kind of see that that's where all these, you know, TV channels like Comedy Central, I know cable TV is going through whatever, but like Netflix and all that, I feel like they're trying to start to capture, like they want to capture that live, you know, performance. You know, I mean, you see like Roast Battle is now popular on Comedy Central.
But Roast Battle works. Roast Battle works because there's jokes, and the jokes hit just as hard, like I think on watching from home than they do in there. It's what you don't get watching if you're not live is this the energy in the room, but you get how funny that joke is. Comedy can work. That's why you can watch, you know, Richard Pryor's special and laugh just as hard if you were sitting in the room. I've cried laughing after so many specials just in my own, you know, apartment. Yeah. So music is just different.
No, I have a lot of music DVDs and I rarely watch them. Yeah. I probably have 500. Maybe I watch like 7 of them because it just doesn't have the right feel to it. Yeah. Like you said, I got to be there. If I'm not there, I'm just like, it's all right. Yeah. Some of them hit. There's a couple out there that are good, but most of them just like, it's boring. I can't get into it.
Yeah, What's your favorite? What's your favorite like live concert special?
Well, the AC/DC live at River Plate.
I never saw that one.
Holy shit.
I'm just getting into AC/DC, so please don't be mad at me. I know it's, I never got into them, and then people started covering them, and then If You Want Blood is like one of my favorite songs, and the song that I recommend every artist to listen to as they wake up every day is It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll.
Phenomenal.
I listen to that on my way to shows, on the way to a meeting. It's just, anytime I don't want to do something, you just put that on and just, it just kills.
And the words are great because it's just 100%. Like, you know, as you're in the business and you're struggling and you're trying to get to the next level, it's really inspiring, the words.
Amps you up. Man, I love live albums. That's the thing. That's what's funny because
live albums are different. We're talking about watching. Live albums, dude, because I'm doing my new podcast, The 500, which is where I'm going through the Rolling Stone top 500 albums of all time. They made this list, and I'm just starting at 500 with a different actor performer, and they each get a week with the record. I listen to it, they listen to it, and then we just talk about it. But we talk about life and amongst other things. And we had a discussion because number 499 is B.B. King's Live at Cook Jail. And it's a live album, but it's like, it's fucking all of his greatest hits. So does that deserve to be on there? And that just broke a whole bunch of discussion. But I can still enjoy that record because you're still just listening to it. You can hear the energy and you can hear the performer, what he's doing. So it sounds incredible. But watching it, you know, I don't think is going to add that much more to it.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of live albums in your?
No, no, I don't like live albums. I like the 70s. Mm-hmm. You know, the ones that released in the 70s sound great. Mm-hmm. Like they actually sounded better than a lot of the studio ones. Mm-hmm. But once the 80s and 90s and all the stuff came around, the sound is, to me, it's lost its feel. Yeah. Like there's some amazing like live albums from the 70s, like Leonard Skinner, One More for the Road, is like one of the best live albums of all time. Peter Frampton Comes Alive.
Yes, I was about to say that.
All these bands, you know, Ted Nugent, Double Live Gonzo, like these bands went to another level when a live album came out. And that never happens now. Now if someone puts a live album, like, it's the live one. Yeah, okay. It just doesn't have the same feel to it. I think the way a lot of those records were recorded in the 70s, Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East, another one. It's a great live album. Their studio records sounded weird and flat. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I think the live albums really brought that music alive. Mm-hmm. And it made it sound way better.
Yeah.
So but I stopped at like around 85, like Live After Death. Iron Maiden was probably like the last live album that I liked. Mm-hmm. And now when a band puts a live, I don't even listen anymore. I'm like,
I watch clips. I've been watching because I'm just getting into the White Stripes again, and so I like to watch their videos of them live because it's so interesting to see him perform just certain songs. You know what I mean? Like, but it's so I do find myself sometimes going on YouTube and pulling up live clips just to see how they would play the song, but it's generally coming from from. I love the album, so I'd like to see how they would do this live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whenever you listen to an album like that, do you put yourself like in the audience, or do you put yourself as actually performing the song? Because I know it's like a weird, like the goddamn Comedy Jam, you're out there actually performing the song. I tend to, like, when I listen to a live album, or when I watch a clip on YouTube, I kind of see myself as the performer of that rather than in the audience. So,
I mean, listen, when I'm in my car and when I'm in my bathroom getting ready, I'm always the performer of the song. I'm constantly singing. Your music is such a huge part of my happiness. Like it really, I listen doing this podcast and like doing this 500 because I'm finally able to experience so much music that I haven't listened to, like all the way through. And now I can figure out why some of these bands are some of the greatest artists ever. And this is the greatest recorded music in the history of music. You can argue about whatever, but for the most part, those top 500 are the top 500 albums. And it's like, it moves me. It makes me cry. It inspires me. I watched while I was doing Big J Okerson, we were doing Cyndi Lauper's She's So Unusual.
Right.
And which he picked that record too. He was like, I want to do Cyndi. And so I'm researching it, dude. Like I go deep into the research. I'm reading fucking lyrics. I've got like strings attached to like words in my apartment. Like I'm, Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind. Just like I'm trying to find like, oh my God, I can ask him about this. And I started watching the music video for Girls Just Want to Have Fun after I read this story about how this guy wrote it, and it was about how women like to have sex, and then Cyndi Lauper took it and made it an anthem for women. And I watched that music video and I started tearing up. Mm-hmm. And that's because of it. Like, there's so much behind music. It's so beautiful. You can't, like, an alt-right, person, if it doesn't make a difference. If they hear a song, they hear the same song that a far left person hears, and it sounds good, they're both gonna like it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just music is just, if it sounds good and it's catchy, 99.9% of human beings enjoy it.
That album's in the top 500.
Which one?
Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper. It's 487.
Wow.
Here's it goes. 500 is Outcast Aquemini, and it's like I've matched it up where it's perfect. Where I can have like Byron Bowers did that. He's from Atlanta, so he could tell the story of what it was like growing up in that time. Jim Jeffries, because I was gonna do an album a day. Just on my own. I'm going through this whole existential crisis, coming out of this depression. I wanted to be inspired. And then the podcast idea came from that, because it's like, cool, this would be a way for me to talk to some of these people I feel awkward around, and I can break through that. So I'll grow as a human being. And so we did, when I posted about Stone Roses' first record, just Stone Roses, and Jim Jeffries hits me up. He's like, that album is the shit. And so we're recording that one together because it brings up so much memories. And, and then like we did White Stripes with Bill Burr, and I already taped that one. And he doesn't like the White Stripes, but he could sit there and we could break it down and appreciate like just how important or why that record even deserves to be on this list.
Yeah. Do you think it's ever possible for comedy to kind of hit those same chords like in a live performance?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think comedy can touch people. It obviously did with Nanette. Nanette is, I didn't watch it, but from everything I've read, people are really identifying with it. I mean, and I think with stand up, I mean, people like Chappelle, Chris Rock, some of these great comics are, when you say something, if you're being yourself and your point of view, and you're saying it with love and passion, like, yeah, it gets behind people, and it can change the minds and make people happy or sad or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely a comedy record you could definitely put on if you're in a bad mood or you're sad or whatever like that, to make you laugh, to put you in that place where it puts you in a good mood.
Yeah.
So that definitely, the old Andrew Dice Clay records worked for me. There was a couple that he put out where The Day to Laugh to Die, where he just bombs.
Yeah.
And
it's so
to me,
great.
like on long car rides, I'm bored and I might fall asleep or whatever, and I've just had a shitty set and I have to drive 5 hours. I'd put that on and just put me in a great mood.
Yeah, and you're just dying to hour back. Get it? Just
get
over
it.
and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not working, but you're just dying.
No, I know, because he's just torturing the audience. What balls he has. So, so comedy could definitely do that too. Music's got me through a lot of shit in my life, absolutely. Certain songs, an album, or whatever it is,
Yeah. Well, what was it like opening up for Dice? Because when you were opening up for Dice, were you doing it at like the heights of when he was performing?
About 3,000. No, not the heights, but about 2,000-3,000 doing. No, it's great. I still do shows with them from time to time.
Yeah.
It was amazing. They weren't too crazy to crowds. I think I missed that, which was good.
when they were rock
I
shows.
know, like
pretty
Eddie
much.
Griffin used to open for him, and a bunch of other guys, they would get booed off the stage. It was really tough. But by the time I started opening for him, his crowd was a little older. They weren't as crazy.
Yeah.
They weren't, going nuts.
Because I feel like Dice was like the first like rock star comic in terms of like playing stadiums.
Well, it was, I mean, him and Kinnison, you mentioned those.
Yeah.
Those were like two of my big influences as comedians, them and Carlin. Because that was like, for Kinnison, because he was just he had such a powerful voice, and the scream, it's just like, how could you not, as a little kid, not fucking be drawn to that and look up to that? And then Andrew Dice Clay, I mean, I remember it's just as a little kid hearing the dirty nursery rhymes. That's for an 8, 9, or 10, 11-year-old kid, however old I was. I mean, that was the shit, man. Mm-hmm. And I had my grandmother, my bubby, take me to go see Adventures of Ford Fairlane. I mean, begged her. I just had to see it. And I knew, and also Vince Neil was in it. I was like, oh my God, I have to see this. I have to.
Would you say that was like, I mean, obviously you had the rock show on VH1, but or the metal show, but would you say that was pretty much close to like kind of like being like a rock star, hanging around with Dice? And
yeah, absolutely, because he was the reason I got into comedy. Mm-hmm. When I saw him with the leather jacket up there, and just like he's a rock star.
Yeah.
To before that, I was a comedy fan, but I was just like, I don't know if that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
But then when I saw like Kinnison bringing the metal guys out, and they're playing Wild Thing and all this shit, and then Dice comes out with a leather jacket and he's smoking and telling dirty jokes. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And then he's playing Madison Square Garden. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. So what other comedians, when you guys first started out, did you look up to, like besides Dice, that were like, oh, I definitely want to, if not emulate it, although I feel like a lot of people when they start out, they just want to emulate what they see, but like really just looked up to, in the same way that you kind of looked up to the rock bands that got you into rock?
Rodney Dangerfield for me. He was amazing. The quick one-liners, putting himself down. They were just funny, quick jokes. He'd be on The Tonight Show doing 7, 8 minutes, killing. Then he sits down on the couch with Carson, and he kills for another 7 minutes. Just boom, boom, set up punch, set up punch, set up punch. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love that about him. And when I started, I was doing all these rock clubs and sports bars where they wouldn't shut the TVs off, and if the playoffs are on, and they're like, no, we got to keep the TV, we'll lower the sound. And the crowd's like, what the fuck? Who's this? We don't want to hear jokes. And I knew I had to get to my jokes quick. Mm-hmm. And I started doing that open mic in a strip club. Like I said, it was a strip club during the day and a rock club at night. So I knew I was just quick set up punch. So I got that kind of style from Rodney. I'm like, get to the punchline quick. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or they're not going to listen. Yeah. But I loved him. He was just so great, man. Just so self-deprecating and, everything. And then just helping out all the comics, all those Rodney Dangerfield specials, breaking all those comics. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of spread the wealth.
I did see Pryor live at the Sunset Strip in the movie theater. My brothers took me when I was a kid, and I was fascinated by that. I'm like, holy shit, man. Yeah. This is amazing. So.
Yeah. How about you, Josh?
When I was 6 years old, I saw George Carlin do My Stuff Is Stuff bit on Comic Relief, and that was the moment I wanted to be a comic, because I was like, what is that? So it was always like Carlin, and then as I started getting into my teens, it was like Martin Lawrence and Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's like when I saw Dane Cook go up there, when I saw his half-hour special, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. A guy dicking around, a guy laying on the stage. I was like, that's what I want to do. That's how I'd see myself doing stand-up. Mm-hmm. And so, I've told him that recently. I was like, dude, it's still to this day, his half hour is fucking fire, man. And now over the years, what's really kept me going are the people like Burr, Patrice O'Neal. I think Patrice O'Neal, you're talking about specials, because I didn't get to say it, is the special that got after my car accident, Elephant in the Room. I probably watched that over 1,000 times. I love that special. I put it on some nights and I just go to bed because I don't even need to watch it. I just know exactly where he's standing, what he's doing. It's just the most brilliant hour of comedy I've ever seen, and it looks so cavalier the way he's doing it. And then I was talking to Burr on my podcast, and he said that was Patrice at 80%. And that made me just go, holy shit. I never got to see him live. And
my manager, Jonathan, was Patrice's manager.
Really?
And then, he was with him at the Roast, the Comedy Central.
Oh, my
Roast,
God, dude, that's...
special and all of that. He could tell you stories about it.
You're selling your own blood. I mean, that was it. And that's what's sad to me. And that's why I love that I'm friends with Bill now, because he can tell me about Patrice. And it's like... I had that with my friend Angelo, which is like I was this guy that, if I wouldn't still be a comedian if it wasn't for my friend Angelo that passed away, because Ange was such a good writer. He worked so hard and I wanted to impress him. And that was what Bill did with Patrice. They were both trying to like one up each other. Yeah. And I love that. Like you need friendly competition and you need somebody that you look at and respect and then they respect back and you can just go, all right, that's your new joke. All right, I'll see you in 2 shows. I'll be back. I got more.
Yeah.
And that's by being able to hang out with some of these comics that I look up to now, it's making me realize that 1, I deserve to be there, but 2, I got to work my ass off to be there. And it's not about the rewards that I get. As long as I just keep putting in the work, everything else is going to work out. Just keep working hard. And I took all that stuff that I've learned by watching all those guys and hopefully I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, you bring up Patrice. I'm a huge comedy nerd, right? And one of the best stories I ever heard was Metzger talking about Patrice. And, Metzger is one of the few dudes that Patrice let kind of write for him and stuff. But when he talked, they were doing one of the Comedy Central roasts. And how, and you were there. See how
I was there that night.
That's
the greatest.
By the way, for the listeners who don't know, Jonathan Brandstein is in the room. Who it's crazy. Your office is like 2 streets over from the studio, man. And I've been in it like so many times. It's so dope. And we got to have you on the show one day to share some of these stories. Promise me you'll come back. Yeah. But when Patrice really, like, I remember they said Metzger was like freaking out because of something about.
Can we get you? Want to use my mic or you want to?
I don't want to. Kurt was freaked out because they sent him over there because Patrice didn't want to go, he'd just flown in, he was tired, and we were in a hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey, and he was nervous because the head writer was freaked out that Patrice didn't want to show him anything. So they came there, they worked out on a lot of funny stuff. I mean, I sat there for the whole time. It was just the 3 of us in the room. And Patrice, Kurt's a great writer and he's so smart and he's a good comic. And so, and Patrice liked Kurt a lot. So he felt comfortable with him. They could figure out jokes, whatever. But the best part of all that was they wrote a lot of stuff. They had a whole bunch of stuff. And when he got up the next day on the roast, he threw it all away and literally went off the top of his head.
Yeah.
Did he show the Comedy Central his jokes?
No, I mean,
he didn't.
Kurt was taking notes that he had to bring back. And, Patrice is just, it's one of those things where I felt bad for both parties. I mean, Patrice was like, I'm not showing them this. Fuck that. And then the head writer was kind of freaking out and he was getting a little pissed. And, it was just this uncomfortable thing of, I'm in the middle of it and I was trying to get Patrice to show them something. So Kurt, I talked to Kurt. I think I pulled Kurt aside and I said, just show them some of this. And, but, he got up there and he did something completely different than was written on the page.
Yeah.
So.
And Kurt said how that influenced him so much to just not get freaked out by stuff.
Yeah.
Just know that whatever they're going to say is just what they're going to say.
He always generally had a good time wherever he was performing.
Yeah.
He tried to at least. I mean, if you look at Elephant in the Room, he's having a good time. And I was there. I mean, legitimately, he had a good time.
Did he do 2 shows that night? The Elephant in the Room?
Yeah.
Was one better than the other?
It was weird. The first one was phenomenal, and by the second one, I went in the truck outside, and Beth McCarthy, who was the director, just looked at me and goes, "We got it. I mean, this show is just bonus. I don't know what he killed both shows. I mean, he crushed it, and." By the second show, I just realized he's having such a good time out there. It wasn't even like, oh, he's got to do this and hit this and make this work and that. But it all came super naturally to him.
Yeah. See, that's so the magic of the Comedy Papa podcast. Man. We end up with a first-hand account about Patrice.
I just love my favorite joke from that isn't when, even like the funniest part is when he's like, so I've been eating good all week and tonight I can have my own lamb leg. I don't know why that just makes me laugh so much. But you know what's funnier is that his tape, the one that you put out, Mr. P, the one that he did in D.C., my buddy was at that recording. Oh, he's like, you're part of my corporation. The guy was just a genius. Like the way he could say things and get away with it. It's the way that I see Burr doing it now. It's like, because it might sound mean, but it's like, no, if it's coming from, this is what I believe. You can't knock that and you can't get mad at somebody when this is with their whole heart. What they're saying they believe. And I believe that from Patrice.
Yeah.
I believe when he says, a white woman's life is more valuable than this woman's life. That's true.
Yeah. And so many people say, like, what would Patrice do if he was here today? Like, oh my God.
He'd probably like Trump. He'd probably like.
I think
he
so
probably
too.
would.
I think so
I
too.
don't know him that well. I've never met him. I never got to see him live.
People would try to people would try to bait him by talking about Obama and stuff like that. They would say like, "Oh, Obama," and he'd be like, "Yeah," just because he's. I don't think Patrice liked him just because he was black or disliked him for that matter. But he was funny because people would bring that expectation to him, and he would just turn it on its ear. So just when you think, like he loved, his fish, like. He was a pet guy. Like people didn't, so yeah, a lot of surprises.
Yeah. Man, rest in peace, Patrice, man. That was well, we're running a little bit out of time, but I want to touch on a couple other things too. By the way, speaking of roasts, Jim, you on the Voss roast was so amazing, man. That was the I think that's what roast should be. Obviously, and so many comics say that when it's just your friends roasting you and stuff, but your set in particular, man, just stood out from everybody else. It was so funny. I feel like everybody killed. I mean, except for one set, but I feel like everybody else killed. How was it like being in that room with all that energy?
It was
around?
great because we've done them before. They weren't necessarily televised or whatever, and we're all friends, so it wasn't like no one was taking it personally. So that helps, and we all knew each other, so it wasn't like I'm roasting, Roseanne, which I've never met before, or whatever like that. Like a lot of those roasts are, and Martha Stewart with whoever the fuck it is. So we're all friends, so we all know each other. So it's really like there's no boundaries.
Yeah.
So
and you guys hit hard.
It was great. Yeah, so I've been on a bunch of. I love doing roasts. I love it, man. It's nerve wracking, of course, to get up there and you don't know, and if you go late, which I went late in the roast, or you just got to come with a ton of material, and if you have to cross some stuff out, you just know you still have a lot to do. We don't just come with 12 jokes, and if you have to go second to last, which I went second to last, and then I'd only have 3 jokes left, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So I just came with a whole bunch of shit. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll just figure it out along the way.
That's great.
But
there's a love in New York for they like you when they start shitting on you.
Exactly.
That's
No,
when,
I know.
When Burr, like I like when Burr finally shit on me and he started making fun of my voice, I was like, now, and then I shit on him and I was like, yeah, but you're pale as fuck. And then when I waited and then he goes, oh, Josh, that was a little harsh. I was like, yes, yes, we are friends. And the thing in LA is that we're not like that. I try to bust balls.
Patrice was like that.
I know that. And I would have loved that. And everybody that knows Patrice go, no, you wouldn't have liked.
He used to throw phone books at Kevin Hart on the stage.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But,
Patrice used to throw phone books at Kevin Hart on the stage. Yeah, because I remember we'd sit in the crowd at the comedy show, like when it was not packed at like 1 a.m. years ago. There'd be like 3 people in the room, all the comics were in the back. We just fuck with our friend up on stage.
Oh, that's the best.
Whatever joke he said, we'd be groaning in the back, and he didn't see us. Like, oh, and the comic goes, what was wrong with that way? And he doesn't know that it's coming from there. So we just constantly busting balls. I always say that's a weird way of showing affection.
Yeah.
If we make fun of you, we showing
love you.
affection.
Yeah, and
we love you. If we don't, then we're like, all right, I'm not getting the vibe from this guy, so I don't want to, because if I do go after him, he might take it personally, and then I'm like, I don't want to hang out with this guy if I gotta just say I'm sorry that you wore a bad shirt.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make fun of him.
You wore a bad shirt to the cellar.
Yeah, you wear a bad shirt to the
cellar. Oh yeah, Bill told me about that. He was like, you got to space out the clothes that you wear, because if you wear something also too close to when the last time they saw it, Patrice would be like, man, you don't own that many shirts, do you?
And because when you walk in, they're all in that corner, and they just look at your outfit. They look you up, from your sneakers all the way to the top, and just going, is there anything I could pick out? And if there is, they'll just go after you.
On the day of Patrice's funeral, there was a whole bunch of us that had like a lunch before, because we were like pallbearers or whatever. And I think it was Colin walked in. He was wearing a suit. We all were. And Colin walked in. It was kind of a somber mood. And Bobby Kelly, I think, said, hey, what time do you have to be at Men's Warehouse? What time does your shift start? And that was just, that's the perfect example of where.
But I love that, and that's the way I grew up. My friends and all, my friend Ange that passed away, like all we did was shit on each other. I shit on him, he shit on me, and that's love, because you're so comfortable that you can call out the ridiculousness. It's like of life and the absurdity of it, that you wear a new shirt, if you don't walk in with confidence in that new shirt, then you smell it. Like, people know that.
Yeah.
And I've done it. That's why I only wear black, white, and gray shirts. Any color, I'm like, fuck you. I've limited my wardrobe down. It's like the Jeff Goldblum from Fly wardrobe. It's the same outfit, just all over and over and over. And it's because I don't want to get shit on. I don't want people to make fun of me for wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
I don't look good in red. I'm not wearing it. And but if they did, and it was some comics that I respect that I've already had some rapport with, fuck yeah, dude. Then that's love right there.
Yeah.
Because then I can shit on them back when they wear something funky.
Yeah. Jim, is it true that they used to have to make you defend your jokes in case you said something weak?
No, I wasn't around when that was going on. I know they did that, but we would bring up like our bad tapes, like a comedy set from wherever, and we play it on the air, and we just ripped that apart. And you really couldn't defend it because they were so bad.
Yeah.
So there was that, but I wasn't around for that. But I know they would do that. Like they would watch your set and go, "Why would you do that joke about a cop eating a donut? Come on," you know.
I know. Listening to a lot of like the old Opie and Anthony stuff, or like having Jim Norton defend his old stand up, or Voss defend his old man. It's if you guys haven't heard it, go check it out on YouTube. Seriously, but we are running out of time. But I want to get to the crank calls, man, because that's like. I knew you personally from Crank Yankers. You know, every time I would come home from school, I'd turn on Comedy Central, and Crank Yankers would always be on. And Special Ed was always like the standout character from that. So, I mean, what were some of your favorite moments actually recording that? And I know it all started because you released a CD, right?
Yeah. I had a CD where I was messing with telemarketers. I just put it out on my own, no record label or anything. I just got them printed up. I was selling my shows, and then Howard Stern got a hold of it, and he started playing it on the air. And then Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla heard the calls, and they were starting this Crank Anchor show because they were big Howard Stern fans.
Yeah.
And they go, "We want this dude to be on our show."
Yeah.
And they didn't know who I was or whatever. I was pretty much like the only unknown comic to be on that show.
Yeah.
They just liked the characters I was doing because I had them on my CDs,
Yeah.
Special Ed and the other one. So, and then I just, within 6 months, I was on a show on Comedy Central after putting out this CD that I was just going to sell at my shows.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
At Firehouse and BFWs, I was just playing B and C rooms and shit,
Yeah.
working on my shit, and then just blew up from there.
Yeah. So it was kind of that which propelled you, right, in your stand-up?
Yeah, because I was already headlining smaller rooms, so I already had 45 minutes. So I wasn't like I hit and I had 20 minutes, and how am I going to fill it? And then I started playing. Then I started going on Howard Stern between that and the Crank Anchors.
Oh, that's a wrap.
I went from not even playing at Funny Bones and Improv, so I was doing more to BSC rooms to headline and just going right in there. From that show.
Yeah.
But lucky I put the time in, and I was doing all these shitty gigs to make sure I could handle it.
Yeah.
Because if you can go through like these YouTube guys going through now once, because they got a big following on YouTube and they're selling out like 6 shows, but they got nothing. So they're only going to go through one time. The crowd's going to be like, "Oh man, this sucks."
Yeah.
He's great on YouTube, but he doesn't have a stand-up act. They got like maybe 15 minutes, and the rest of the comics are filling up all the time. So I wanted to make sure I was, had some staying power.
Yeah, and
so it happened at the right time.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big problem today, where it's like a lot of these guys, these Instagram, whatever famous people are getting, they're going to headline because they're going to sell it out, but they don't have the material to back it up. So yeah, it's great that you had the 45. What was your favorite character to play on the show?
The Special Ed one probably. I liked the other one, Bobby Fletcher. I did. That was just in my real voice.
Yeah.
And he was just rude and obnoxious, burping in people's ear and just saying rude and ignorant shit. I like that.
Yeah, I was listening to the bank loan one before you came in, when you called up the bank asking for a loan, and you were just like, "Just give me the money, man. How could I just come pick it up?" And
oh yeah, because they said I forget how that one went.
They were asking you questions like, what's your residence? How long have you been in your residency?
Oh yeah, I'm like, what's the big deal? I go, look. And then I just said I needed some money, some drug money or something. I forget what it was.
And then she just hung up on you.
Yeah. That's what they usually do. But I always know, like, you got to get under their skin.
Were there ever people that didn't want to give up, they didn't want to hang up? They just kept going with it because it's almost like they didn't want to be defeated in that moment?
No, well, with the telemarketers, they would stay on the phone longer because they would think they get a sale. But with the Crank Anchors, we're actually calling out. So like, I remember calling for a job interview, and the guy's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, come on in." I was burping in his ear. He's like, "Was that a burp?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just, I've been drinking a lot of soda lately." He's like, "All right, it's kind of weird, but all right." And then I'm like, "Shit, I got to get this guy going because this isn't a good call," because he was being nice. And I go, "How do you get to the place?" I go, "I think," he goes, "It's on route," not whatever, I don't know, it was in like Atlanta. I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I think I drove by it the other night. I was drinking and driving, and I'm pretty sure I was kind of messed up, but I think I said," he goes, "What do you mean you were drinking?" I go, "Yeah, I was drinking and driving. Why? What's the big deal?" He's like, "I don't know if I want to hire you." I go, "Why? I wasn't even working for you then." I go, "And how am I going to get home if I'm not going to do it? I'm not going to call a cab." And now the guy's like, "I don't know if I want you working." I'm like, "What's the big deal?" You never.
Was that your favorite one to ever do?
No, but I'm just saying, like, that's how I get under people's skin. I don't know, maybe the one where I said I hit a deer and I really hit a guy.
I gotta rewatch that show.
Oh, it was so great.
Oh yeah, there was a call where I said, I'm calling about my water bill, and I said I'm in the middle of the country driving.
Yeah.
And I just want to go over my bill. I think there was a problem. And she's like, "Okay, what's your name?" or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm these dark roads. Hold on a second. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. And she goes, uh-oh. I go, oh. She goes, what was that? I go, I think I just hit a deer. She's like, oh, man. Should I call you back? I go, no, I really want to get my water bill. And then I'm like, well, what is it? And then all of a sudden you hear, help me, I'm hurt. And the lady's like, sir, that's not a deer. I go, no, it is. It's a deer. She goes, that's a person. I go, no, it's not. It's a deer. I go, please, just tell me about my water bill. She goes, well, I can't find it here. And then she's like, that's a I go, all right, listen, you're in on this. You better not say anything. It's only between. No, I'm not. I'm like, yes, you are. I go, you know. And then I'm like, hold on. I go, I'll then I just pull out a gun. There's like 3 gunshots. I go, okay, now we're fine. I go, you don't have to worry about it. I go, so what about my water bill? Then she hangs up.
That's so great. Are there any plans to bring something like that back? Or
I don't, it's Jimmy's kind of busy.
well, not necessarily. Yeah.
I'm not.
I should
Hold
clarify.
on, all right. You can do the Oscars next year, or
No, I should be specific. Not with Jimmy and that, but just like you on your own, bringing back any crank. I know.
Maybe. I mean, at some point, I did a bunch of the telemarketer stuff. I did like 6 CDs. I got them out, and people find that shit on Spotify and Sirius and stuff. So I still like those calls that I did. So maybe at some point.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being on the show.
That's great.
Like Ron G says when he hosted, he said there's no small talk on the show, and I don't think we had any real small talk. But I want to ask you guys a couple quick fire questions. And
do it.
Then we'll be.
I gotta
on
go
our way.
walk my dog. She's been in the cage for 7 hours.
I know Josh has been texting me like, I need to walk my dog. I need to walk my dog.
It's all right. It's my fault.
What smell reminds you of home? There's just gonna be quick fire questions.
Canner's Deli.
Canner's Deli.
It doesn't remind me of home, but it reminds me of being in a nice, warm place that I feel safe in.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Jim?
Mulch.
Mulch.
Yeah, because I do all my gardening around my house and stuff. I used to landscape, so I do a lot of that. So whenever I smell mulch, it's like, I'm refilling mulch around my house.
I'm back in. So if you could do coffee with anybody alive or dead, who would it be?
Fuck. That's such a. You want to go first?
It could be family.
I want
celebrity.
the extra 10 seconds to think about it. Because everybody I want to meet, there are people that you don't want to meet. I don't want to sit down with Patrice because he'd probably make fun of me, and that's what Bill said. I want to meet Miles Davis, but he'd be a dick. I would love to meet Tom York from Radiohead, and I kind of did, and he was a dick. I met Beck, and he was a dick. They're not dicks; they're just geniuses, and I don't want to You never want to meet those people. So to be honest with you, and then I also wanted to meet Pee Wee Herman, and when I finally got to, he wanted to fuck me. So I mean. It's tough, dude.
What'd you say?
I said, I mean,
I gotta go walk
how
my
much
dog.
you gonna pay me? Yeah, I gotta go walk my dog. Honestly, if I could sit down, I would love to sit down with like George Harrison. I would love to sit down with George Harrison because I think I don't want to talk about music. I just want to talk about his journey because that's where I'm at in my life right now. Mm-hmm. And I really love anybody that's a deep thinker and has found some sort of peace. And I want to know how to do that. So that would definitely be somebody.
Awesome. How about you, Jim?
I met, being a big music guy and meeting all those guys on that metal show, I met all those guys, those idols. So it would definitely be a musician. And there's pretty much, I met everybody except for like Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, and Eddie Van Halen are like the last 3 that I never met. But I could do without that. Mm-hmm. I don't know what kind of good conversation it would be. Mm-hmm. So this is a weird one, but I've never met, I'm a big Barry Bonds fan. I would like to have coffee with him. I think he got a bad rap, that he was a dick and all that stuff. And, I've never met him. And I'm a big San Francisco Giant fan. So,
I was about to ask,
I've never met him.
Days then.
Yeah.
Not Pirate Stays.
Yeah, well, look, as a sports guy, if a dick comes to your team, you like him.
Yes.
He's on your team. So it's like
Finally,
when Deion Sanders would switch teams all the time, he was a dick.
When he was a Redskin, I loved him.
Yeah, he was a dick everywhere else. So you're like, fuck that guy. He comes to your team. Go, okay, he's on my team. I like him. So you take him in.
Yeah.
And you support him no matter what. You're like, hey, he's on my team. So you fight for him.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy we have Puig on the Dodgers. Because
you guys also have my favorite player in baseball. You have Manny Machado.
Yes.
I feel it's so sad that he left the Orioles. But I'm glad he's in LA because now I can still watch him and I can root for him a little bit, even though I never root for any team besides the Baltimore Orioles.
You a Dodger fan?
Yeah, I'm a Dodger fan. Yeah.
My brother's an Orioles fan.
Really?
Yeah, he liked them, and he was trying to get his kid into them. And, we live in New Jersey, so it's all Yankees there and shit.
Oh, yeah, as you should. I mean,
right.
I'm very I rep every team from the DC, Baltimore area. So I'm a Nats fan too, but only because I'm rooting for the area so they can get wins and a championship and the people that I grew up with are happy. Do you know what I mean? But if I lived in Jersey, I'd be a fucking Yankees fan. I wish I had an organization like the goddamn Yankees in my metropolitan area.
But the Orioles, so my brother was trying to get his son into the Orioles, so he sends him in like fifth grade or fourth grade with an Orioles lunchbox to school. He comes home and goes, Dad, I can't have this in school anymore. People want to beat me up.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So he took it out. I did that with my son. I like the Miami Dolphins, so he likes the Dolphins at football, and I sent him to school with it, and all these Jet fans are giving him shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, we want to have the Dolphin bag.
Why? Because it reminds them of how much they both suck.
Yeah, I go. There's no argument.
There's no argument.
Both teams win 4 games a year. Why? It's not you going to win a Patriot bag.
Really, you want to shit on me? We have Ryan Tannehill, you fuck faces.
Exactly.
Come on.
I did get this one kid. So this kid's in 4th grade. My son's in 2nd. They're on the bus. My son's got a Dolphin bag, and he comes on the bus every day. The kid's older than him. He goes, Dolphins stink. Seahawks, #1 Dolphin. And he's like, Dad, the guy's bothering me. I see him in school. He's like, Dolphins stink. Miami stinks. I want to hit him, but I can't. He's bigger than me. He'll beat me up. And he's like, he's driving me nuts. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we went to the mall. I got him a Russell Wilson fucking jersey. He wears it the next day in school, and the kid gets on the bus. He goes, what? Russell Wilson goes, I love the Seahawks. My dad's the one who likes the Dolphins. I don't like the Dolphins. He made me have the bag. And he goes, yeah. And he's high-fiving with him. Now they're best friends.
That's hilarious.
It was a $20 Russell Wilson shirt.
Yeah.
A Seahawks shirt. I go, this is how we're going to do. He's a 4th grader. We're going to trick him. I go to Seahawks won the Super Bowl 4 years ago at the MetLife Stadium. They beat I gave him all so in case he quizzed him on it.
You give him the backstory.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. All right, I got 2 more for you guys. If you could give a piece of advice to somebody just starting out in comedy, what piece of advice would you give them? Besides just quit.
Well, just get up as much as you can. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Who gives a shit? Build your own career. Don't be jealous of other guys, and just get up all the time.
Yeah.
And just write, and keep building and building, and
Keep it going.
Have fun.
Have fun.
have fun. Exactly.
Have fun.
Get a bunch of friends and have fun with it. That was some of the best times. Just going on the road.
Yep.
With Jim Norton and these guys like Rich Voss and all that stuff, and just traveling to these little towns and doing comedy. And we're making $50 or $100. We just had a blast doing it.
Best time of my life is when all of us had nothing. Me, Gerard, Byron, Tony, everybody was just at Baseline, and we were going to a diner with these girls, and they'd order a sampler, and that would be our food for the night. You know what I mean? It was the best time of my life because I was having fun. And what happens is with more and more success, you lose that fun because you see other people get shit, your ego takes over, and then you don't get to enjoy this job, regardless if it's stand-up or music or acting, whatever it is. It could be IT tech support. What if you got into something because you loved it and then you start falling out of love with it because you worry about all the shit that you're not getting? Just enjoy the fact that you're doing it. That's everything. You get to do it.
Yeah.
And just have fun with it because the audience knows it when you're not.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line. And I got my last question.
Hit it.
And
this one's for Lekka.
Before I say this one, I just want to tell you guys it was an honor to interview you guys.
It was a lot of fun.
Such a fun episode.
Absolutely.
All right, so this question actually stole from that metal show on VH1. So I just want to know if you had if you could go back in time and write a song, which song would you want to have written? Obviously, that another band had written, but what song would you have loved to have written?
Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna need a minute on that one.
I mean,
I can edit, no worries.
one of them I want to say just because of how much money I can make off it, because it's the most covered song of all time, is "Yesterday" by the Beatles. Because you'd be a quadrillionaire if that's even a number. But I wouldn't want to write that, so I'd play that out. If I could sing any song, like just fuck, man.
I wanted to end it on a stumper.
I mean, this is a stumper. The podcast, you just added 20 minutes to the podcast if you want good answers from us. I would say if I could, just from going back, I would love to have written Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine, just so I could play that live. And I played it live at a jam, but just to be the band to introduce that song to the world and then be able to do that, I mean, that would... I just need to grow some dreadlocks and, pull up, hate the Zapatistas or whatever the fuck they're mad. I don't even know. They might be pro Zapatistas. I have no idea.
How about you, Jim?
Well, I'll do a callback from earlier in the show, Motorhead Ace of Spades.
Nice.
You're doing it, dude.
Yeah.
You are
That's
doing the jam.
It's one of my favorite albums
You're
of all
doing
time, too.
It's
so.
happening. Listen, we put it out to the universe. The universe is going to mix it in its stew, and then one day it's going to serve you a nice warm bowl of the goddamn Comedy Jam in New York. It has to happen. Because I love you. I love that you love music, and now I got to sit down and talk to you. Now I'm like, all right, this dude's the fucking shit. So it's going to happen. Might be in 5 years. Might be in 5 months. Who knows?
I'll do it.
Fuck
Yes.
yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah. That was the main point of this podcast.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
all a scam. So where can people
The
find you
show's
guys?
next Tuesday.
So what's your social media? Where can people find you guys?
I'm at Josh Adam Meyers on all social media. My last name is spelled Meyers. I got to plug this. November 14th, I am launching the 500 podcast with Josh Adam Meyers. It's me and a comic each week over the next 9.6 years, starting at 500, working our way down to 1, an exploration of music, art, and life. It's just going to be the shit, and I need you to listen to it because I want to make money off this.
How
And
often are you going to release them?
Once a week.
Once a week. Okay.
So we'll end it in 2027. But I'm releasing it on my 39th birthday because it's my gift to myself because I've never been more excited about a project.
That's so
ever.
dope.
and then you're going to just do one, and you're going to have a bunch in a can.
So
before you-
right now I've recorded 4. I'm going to try to get 10. And then from that point, I don't know if I'll ever be able to stay current, but I'm literally listening to these records 40 times a week. Like right now I'm listening to Stone Roses to Tape with Jim Jeffries. And it's funny because I go from loving the record first I don't like it. And then I start liking a couple songs. And the next thing I know, I love the record and then I hate it again. And it's really a really exploration of like emotion and feeling, and just this album triggers so much discussion on so many levels, and it's fantastic because I've been trying to figure out what podcast to do. Everybody's been asking me. I didn't just want to do one that I thought I wanted to do, and this is exactly what I want to do because I feel like I need to do it, and I feel like I'll grow as an artist, being able to sit down and talk about this great work of art.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited for you.
Thank
man.
you, buddy.
That sounds like such a dope project.
Thank you.
Jim, where can people find you?
My website, JimFlorentine.com, and I do a podcast every week, Comedy Metal Midgets, and I have a book out called Everybody Is Awful Except You.
Yeah,
It's
so
in
go get that
stores
book.
and all that shit.
Hey, everybody. It's been a pleasure hosting this. You can find me at Paul A.N.T. Verdugo. And also, we're going to go let Josh walk his dog. So please follow at Comedy Pop-Up, at CPU Podcast. This has been a dope episode of the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. Peace out.